Okay. So I hope everybody can see my screen.
Yes, Doc,
Okay.
can see.
I think someone is trying to join. Okay. Great.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. How do I mute notifications on my PC? Okay. Focus for 30 minutes. Okay. So we'll continue. Okay. So we already discussed the outline of our presentation today. So what is IELTS? Okay, so it is a test that opens doors around the world, and it is International English Language Testing System. International English Language Testing System. The emphasis here is on international English. So, we have different types of English. We have Indian English, we have Ghanaian English, like West African, Nigerian English. But this test deals with international English. Okay. So, the original English, as it's supposed to be spoken from the origin country. So uh, the it's British English, but in the listening test, you are going to have different accents and like different native English accents. Okay, so IELTS is the International English Language Testing System. It's designed to assess the language ability of people who want to study or work where English is the language of communication. So those who want to study or work in a country where English is recognized as their language of communication require IELTS. Also, people do need IELTS for postgraduate studies. Okay, so you want to apply for a scholarship or you want to apply for masters in maybe let's say European countries or somewhere else where your study will be in English. You also need IELTS to prove your English language competencies so you can be awarded that scholarship or that spot to study. IELTS is recognized and accepted over 10,000 organizations worldwide, including universities, employers, professional bodies, immigration authorities, and other government agencies. For the list of organizations that accept IELTS score, that can be seen on the IELTS international website. So that's IELTS.com. On their website, they have all the lists grouped by country. So you can just go through and see, or you can just Google if your agency you're applying to accept IELTS score, which I believe they do. So why IELTS? For higher education, as I said earlier, if you want to apply for masters uh, in a country where they use English as a medium of education, you need to prove your English language competencies, and also IELTS can also grant you the opportunity to get scholarships depending on your score. So some universities will just look at your IELTS score and say, okay, this student is good because your score can show how maybe well you do on your program, and they can give you a percentage of your tuition. So for higher education, for family settlement. So for example, you are moving from your country to settle somewhere else where English is spoken with a family member, or you are moving with your your entire family. You need to show that you'll be able to cope with the culture, with the people. You'll be able to integrate. So you have to prove your competencies with IELTS language for immigration purpose, which is similar to what I spoke about earlier on visiting. Okay, so maybe you are visiting and you want to partake in some activities that will require you to engage with people. You can also prove your language competencies using IELTS. Naturalization, you want to naturalize, change your citizenship to a country where English is their main language of communication. you also need IELTS. Then professional jobs. So I know most of you here are medical doctors, nurses. We have physician assistants here. So before you apply to uh, the various councils in other countries to get a license to work, you need to prove your English language, and you also need IELTS examinations to do that. So who can take IELTS? Anyone with uh, a valid passport, a valid national ID, depending on where you are taking the exams from, okay, and above the age of 16 can take IELTS. So anybody above the age of 16 with a valid passport, a valid ID. So for example, if you are taking the IELTS in Ghana, the acceptable ID, so it's Ghana card, then a passport. Formerly, they used to accept driver's license, so you need a valid ID. If you are taking the exams in Ukraine, they accept all national ID cards. So, uh, Ukrainian driver's license, your passport, they are all accepted. Ukrainian national ID card is accepted in place of the passport. Okay, so depending on the country, they accept ID cards, they accept ID cards or passports. Now, who administers IELTS? So IELTS is a University of Cambridge local examination syndicate. So this exam belongs to University of Cambridge. Okay. The exam is created by University of Cambridge, but it has been licensed to two bodies worldwide to administer IELTS, which are the British Council and IDP Australia. So we know that most countries have the British Council. The British Council is like um, uh, the British Council to UK is like Alliance Française to France, or the Goethe Institute to Germany. Okay, so they are the cultural and linguistic bodies in country that uh, bring about maybe cultural exchange, and I don't even know how to put it. I hope most of us are aware of what British Council is. So British Council administer this IELTS exams, and also IDP Australia. IDP Australia is also a body that has the license to administer IELTS examination. So these are the two bodies that administer IELTS. No matter where you are taking IELTS in the world, it's either by British Council or by IDP Australia. Some countries are fortunate to have both of them running uh, within their borders. So, for example, in Ukraine, we have British Council administering IELTS. We also have IDP doing same. In Ghana, we have only British Council. When you come to Kenya, they have British Council IDP. When you go to Rwanda, they have only British Council. Okay, so in UK they will have both British Council and IDP. So depending on the country, in some Asian countries you get IDP Australia only. Okay, but majority of the countries have British Council, and the test is not more difficult in one than the other. People think that, oh, IELTS in British Council is more difficult than IELTS in IDP Australia. That's not true. That's not true. It's a myth. Okay, so countries that recognize IELTS. So mostly all countries across the globe recognize IELTS for the purpose of study and others, what have you. But it's mostly recognized by the Kanzuk countries, which is the Kanzuk is like an association of Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, and Canada. So we have Canada, we have Australia, we have New Zealand, and we have UK. Okay, so they are the people who really mostly recognize uh, IELTS. The USA and other Commonwealth countries too as well. Okay, so types of IELTS. We have IELTS for professional licensure application, for professional work visa. No, no, no. Okay, so there is the academic model and the general model, because I think I'm sharing the entire screen. Yeah. So we have the academic model, then we have the general training model. So the academic model is mostly for study purposes because you're going to be in an academic system you are doing your master's, you'll be writing thesis, you are required to take an academic model. For if you're applying for masters, if you're applying for professional licensure application, so you want to become a lawyer, you want to become a doctor, a nurse, you're also required to take the academic model. It might vary depending on the agency. Some agencies will accept both, some will accept only academic model. So you have to check with the agency you're applying to. Okay. Now the general training model, mostly for visit, uh, just testing your English competencies for residence purposes, for immigration purposes. So now, how is the test structured? Okay. So we have uh, the test is in 4 domains. Okay. So you'll be tested on listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Okay, so the listening and the speaking for both the academic and the general training are the same. Listening and speaking for both academic module and the general training module are the same. The differences come in the reading and in the writing. So for the academic module, you have academic reading and academic writing. In the general training module, you have general training reading, general training writing. Okay, so you should know, and they have a little difference between them. Okay, it's not the same. The reading in uh, academic module is not the same as that in general module. So we'll talk about it. Okay, so the exam procedure. Okay, so you are going to have your listening test first, then your reading, your writing, then the speaking. The speaking can be before or after your exam. So the listening, reading, and writing is conducted on the same date, okay, or on the same day. So for example, if you are booking your test and you choose to sit your test on the 24th of April, it means that you are going to take your listening, reading, writing test on the 24th of April, and it is a 2.5 hour exam. So you take it at a sitting. Okay, then the speaking is either after or before. Okay, so maximum 3 days before the test date, which is the 24th. So in case you book your exam on 24th, you can have your speaking on either maybe 21st, 22nd, or 23rd. Then you can also have it 3 days, but it's rare that there is it's rare for you to see someone getting, maybe having their speaking test more than a day before the actual date. Mostly you have it on the same day before your test or after your exams. Okay, so how is the scoring like? So you are scored on a scale of 9. Okay, so they use a 9 band scale. 0 is for people who did not attempt the test. So if you were not present, you were absent, you get what? Band 0. If you were present and you did not say anything, you did not do anything, you get 1, non-user. Or maybe you were answering everything in French or using your local language, maybe Lingala, Chi, Gan, Ewe, you get 1. And it goes from there to 9. 9 is the expert user. So we say you're an expert user of the language. Okay, so 9 is the highest score. And every organization sets a level requirement for their applicants. So for example, you might be applying to an organization who says that, okay, we want uh band 7.5 and above. Okay, so it means that you, the applicant, must try to attain 7.5 overall band score and above. If you don't do so, it means you failed that particular test and you have to reset the test. Okay, now let's look at listening. Listening is approximately 30 minutes. Okay, and if you are doing the paper delivered test, you have 10 minutes to transfer your answers. But if you are doing the computer delivered test, you answer directly into the system. So when the time is over, it's over. Okay, but I'll advise the computer delivered test. You have 40 questions in total. Okay, a variety of question types are used. We have multiple choice, matching. Okay, you have plan maps, diagram, labeling. You have form completion, note completion, table completion, flow charts, summary, sentence completion, short answer questions. Okay, now the test is in four parts. Okay, so the section one, okay, the first section is a conversation between two people set in an everyday social context. So this is something that's the easiest part of the listening test. So it's just a dialogue, okay, a dialogue between two people set on in an everyday social context. So maybe you are ordering a taxi, or you're ordering a pizza, or you're asking for direction, or you're booking a hotel, or maybe you call to reserve a place at a restaurant, something like that. Okay. So an example is a conversation in an accommodation agency, something like that. Then the section two is a monologue that is set in an everyday social context. So this is similar to that of the first one, but this one person is speaking. Okay, so as you move to the other part, as you go higher, it gets more difficult. So this section is more difficult than the previous one. So this is a monologue, uh, one person speaking, and it can be about a speech about local facilities, or a talk about the arrangement for meals during a conference. So maybe one person is speaking, and he's talking about maybe an arrangement of maybe accommodation at a conference, or meals or something, or maybe uh a group is on an excursion and he's telling them about the itinerary or something. So it's one person speaking. The section three is a conversation between up to four people set in an educational or training context. So an example is a university tutor and a student discussing an assignment, or a group of students planning a research. So this one you can have two people, three, four. Okay. So maximum four people speaking in an academic context. Okay. So an educational, so uh, it can also be a group of trainees. It can be in any field, but it's something like educational. So maybe it can be uh, intern doctors and their supervisor, it can be students and their lecturer, it can be a group of students working on a project, something like that. Okay. Then there's section four is a monologue in an academic subject. So like a university lecture, and it can be from any field. It can be engineering, architecture, medicine, anything at all. So this is the most difficult part of the listening test. And whilst you are listening to maybe a complex topic that you are hearing for the first time, you are also required to be answering the questions on the go. So the section four, you have to really uh, give your maximum attention to this section. What are the skills that are uh, assessed? Okay, so each section, you should note that each section is heard only once. Each section is heard only once. You will not have the opportunity to repeat it. Nobody is going to replay the section for you. So when you miss it, you've missed it. And a variety of voices and native speaker accents are used. So you can have different kinds of British accents. You can have an Irish accent, you can get an Australian accent, you can have a Canadian and an American accent. Okay, so just uh, be ready for any form of accents, and they can mix them up. It can be also mixed up. So you just need to pay attention so you can do well uh, on this domain. Okay, so the skills assessed is what they are testing a wide range of listening skills. Okay, so which includes the understanding of main ideas, understanding of specific or factual information, okay, recognizing opinions, attitudes, and purpose of a speaker. So you are supposed to hear this from the tone and the speech. You have to identify them and answer the questions accordingly. Okay, following the development of an argument. So these are the skills that are assessed in the IELTS listening. As I've been telling my students, the IELTS test is testing for particular things. And if you know what you are testing for, you can easily ace this test. Okay. So if you know what they are looking out for and what they expect of you, you can easily pass these exams. So you have 40 questions on the listening test. Each correct answer receives 1 mark. It's over 40. Then the 40 score is converted to a scale of band 9. So for the academic test, I think 39 correct answers will give you a band 9. No, 39 correct answers will give you band 8.5. Okay. And but on the general test, when you have uh, 39 correct answers or 40 correct answers, you get band 9. So they just a little difference between the academic and the general test. So the reading is a 60-minute test. Okay. There is no extra time for transfer. You also have 40 questions here. A variety of question types are used. So you have multiple choice question, identify information, true, false, not given. It's something a lot of people find difficult in uh, IELTS. Okay, so you read the passage, then the question they'll pose a question to you, and they'll ask you, is the statement true? Is it false? Or is it not given? So if the information you have corresponds to what you have read in the passage, the answer is true. If it contradicts what is in the passage, it is false. If there is no mention of it in the passage, you choose not given. But bear in mind, they are not going to repeat everything dito or use the same language. They are totally going to paraphrase, change the language, use synonym and context. So it's not uh, very easy as it sounds, but if you get the formula, you'll be able to do this easily. Identifying the writer's views, okay, or claims. So we have yes, no, not given, which is also similar to the true, false, not given in the IELTS reading. We have matching of information, so we have matching of headings. So they give you maybe about 8 headings, and you have 9 paragraphs, and you have to match them. Nine, yeah, 9 paragraphs in a passage. So it's either you have uh the paragraphs more than the heading. So you have to match. So okay, this heading is this paragraph. It's also quite some it's okay, not really that much difficult. Okay. Then you are matching sentence ending and what have you. So this test is in 3 parts. Okay. That's 3 sessions and a total length of two you have two long one long passage and two either short or medium sized passage. So about the first 2 passages about 150 words. Okay. Then you have your questions. Then the last one is about 750 words or more. So you can have the passage for like 3 pages. Then the questions will follow. Okay. So now let's look at the difference between academic reading and academic general training reading. Okay, so just to simplify everything, uh, the one main difference is the length of the passages. That's the main difference, the length of the passage. Okay, so in the general training, the passage is quite shorter. Okay, the passage is quite shorter, and the academic has more text ripped out of maybe textbooks, magazines, newspapers, and the general reading has things that are more, let's say, social, like also books, magazine, newspapers, advertisements, and other things. Okay, so what are the skills assessed in the reading test? Okay, so one, they assess reading for gist. So reading for gist is just getting like an idea, okay, or just uh getting the message that is being inferred, okay, in the passage. Reading for main ideas, okay, so maybe you'll be presented with different opinions in a passage. So are you able to identify what the main idea is, what the supporting idea is, what the arguments are, what the rebuttals are? So reading for main ideas are also tested here. Then reading for details. Okay. So some of the question types will require you to read for details, understanding inferences and implied meaning. Okay. So uh I do oh, we have someone trying to join us. So just okay, admit. Yes. Okay, so yeah, reading, understanding inferences and implied meaning. Okay, recognizing writer's opinion, attitudes, and purpose. Okay, following the development of an argument. It also uh, has 40 questions, and each question scores 1 mark. Okay, so what are the differences? It's comparatively difficult. The academic reading test is comparatively difficult. That of the general reading is easier. Then you have 3 passages from magazine, journals, or newspapers, and you have a passage focused on academic issues. There's some passages focused on social issues. Okay. Okay, writing. So IELTS writing, you have 60 minutes to complete the writing test, and the writing is also in 2 parts. Uh, you are required to write a minimum of 150 words for the first task and at least 250 words for the second task. Okay, so what are the skills assessed here? So in both tasks, you are assessed on your ability to write a response which is appropriate to the question in terms of content, the organization of ideas, the accuracy and range of vocabulary, and also grammar. Okay. So there is also a little difference between academic writing and general writing. So there's a table here just to uh, show that to us. Okay, so the academic is more difficult. The time is the same. The number of words uh, required to be written is 150 to 50. They are the same. But here, in the tax one, you are writing a letter, so it can be a formal, informal letter. Okay, then in the academic test, you are given a report or summarizing data or interpreting data, okay, describing a graph or a chart. Okay, so you can also have diagrams, flow charts, maps to also write in the academic tax one. So how do they mark the writing? Okay, so you are assessed on your performance on each task by certified IELTS uh, examiners, okay, according to the IELTS testing system criteria. So for marking, the criteria is very simple. They check your task achievement or response, your coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, grammatical range, and accuracy. Okay. And there is also a public version available for access for anyone who wants to see what they mean when they talk about tax achievement, coherence, and cohesion. And what do you have to do to get a 9, to get a 8, to get a 7? It's all there. Okay. Okay. So speaking is about 11 to 18 minutes, depending on how well you impress the examiner, or the mood, or the total number of students taking the test on the particular day. So it ranges nothing less than 11 minutes, and it will not go more than 20 minutes too. So the speaking test is also in three parts. Okay. The first part is introduction and interview. So they are going to ask you basic questions that you know answer to, like what is your name, where do you live, where do you come from, tell me about your hometown. Just uh, basic information. Then the second part is what you call the individual long run. So here the examiner gives you a task card which asks you to talk about a particular topic, which includes points you can cover in your talk. So you have a question, okay, maybe uh, tell us about maybe your favorite food, okay. So maybe then the points are what it is, how it is prepared, and why it is your favorite food. So maybe those are the points on the card. Then you have 1 minute to prepare. So when they give you the question card, you are given 1 minute and a sheet of paper and a pencil to plan your work and prepare. Then after that, you are allowed to speak alone. So we call it the long term, because you are going to talk till the examiner interrupts you or ask a follow up question. And this part can be somehow, if you don't have any strategy on how to maybe embellish your speech, or uh, how to maybe uh, improvise and keep on speaking, you might talk and talk and talk and stop, and you've only exhausted 1 minute. So you come, we'll give you all the tips on how to do well in this section of the test. Then the part three is a two-way discussion between you and the examiner. So the examiner will ask further questions which is connected to the topic in part two, or even not necessarily, they can ask you anything at all, but you have to like answer them nicely. And you are not supposed to give straightforward answers. Maybe they ask you, or maybe uh what is your name? Then you say, oh, my name is Jerry. No, you you have to speak, because they are testing your ability to speak, so you have to talk more. Okay, so how do they mark this test? Fluency and coherence, lexical resource, grammatical range, and accuracy, pronunciation. Okay, so here they check your pronunciation of words, but they did not mark your accent. Okay, they did not mark your accent. If they mark accent, some of us will never pass IELTS. And what skills are assessed? The ability to communicate opinions and information on everyday topics and common experiences and situations by answering a range of questions. Okay. The ability to speak at length on a given topic using appropriate language and organizing ideas coherently. The ability to express and justify opinions, and to analyze, discuss, and speculate about issues. Okay, so these are the skills that are assessed. Now let's look at how the score is calculated. So let's say on the listening test, you have you got uh, band 7.5. On the reading test, you got 8. On the writing, you got 6.5. On the speaking, you got 6. So we find an average of all your score. Then you have your overall band score 7. Most universities do not really care much about your individual score on the modules. They are more concerned about the overall score. So they say, okay, they need an overall score of 5.5. I know most Canadian universities say 5.5. Some say 6.5 and 6. Okay. But some organizations will also tell you, okay, we need an overall band score of maybe 7.5 with a minimum 7. So if you have maybe overall 7.5 and you have 7, 8, 6.5 and maybe 7 here, because you have 6.5 in one, even though you made the overall score, you have still failed and you did not qualify. You have to resit the test. So that's how we calculate the overall band score. Retaking IELTS. So you're allowed and free to take IELTS as much as you want. You can even resit IELTS before the results of your previous IELTS is released. Nobody is going to stop you from resitting or retaking IELTS. Also, if you want your work to be remarked, it's come at a fee. When they mark your work and there is a change in your score, they refund the money to you. But if there is no change in your score, then that's the end. The last time you see your money, you don't get a refund. Now we will wrap up. I think we'll end with IELTS here, and I think I'll just like to give a short break, maybe a 5 minutes break. And during the break, if we have any question on IELTS or what you've discussed so far, maybe we can receive them. Any questions so far? Okay, so we have James. James has raised his hand. So James, can we have your question?
Good evening.
Good
You did
evening.
mention that IELTS is the requirement for IELTS is people of age 16 years and above, and also you having a passport or any identification card. So do you mean if let's say someone is 14 years and the person is wants to travel for a visit, the
Yes.
person won't need any. Okay, so what if maybe in the acquisition of the visa also the person was given maybe.
Hello, James. Yeah, I lost you somewhere. In acquisition of the visa, the person was given what? Yeah, hello. Okay, I think we lost James there. Please, any other question? Okay, Jay Carter, are you okay? Are you all right? Can someone else hear James, or I'm the only one who can't hear him?
It's on my side.
Okay. So James, we are very sorry we can't hear you. Maybe later you ask your question, then we'll answer
Oh,
it.
I'll finish speaking now.
Yeah, but we didn't hear you. We lost you at a point. The sound didn't come. Hello.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Please let's quickly have your question.
Hello. Yes.
Hello.
So you did mention that the requirements of iOS is passport and age 16. So if you are
Yes.
14 years and you have as in you are supposed to visit someone, you won't require IELTS. Yes. So in a case where you've gone at 14 years and probably you are going back, considering the fact that probably you were given the first travel you were given, you did mention that IELTS is organized by is for the Cambridge University and organized through British Council. something of Australia. So in the situation where
Yes. IDP.
you are from Ghana and want to travel to Australia, would you need the one from the Australian council? So or you can also
Oh, please, I'm still losing you. I don't know. I think maybe the problem is from my end. My internet connection might be weak. Okay, so if I got James correctly, his second question is
take the
uh
British council.
a- about
Thank you.
IDP and British Council. So both of them are acceptable everywhere. Okay, so nobody will ask you,
Hello,
did you
I'm
take
done.
your test with with British Council or with IDP? Because we know that the test is created by uh, Cambridge University, and it's supposed to be the same. Okay, it's the same test, the same criteria for checking the test. The tests are administered under the same conditions. Okay, so nobody will ask you, oh, did you take your test at IDP? Or all that is required is that it is an IELTS test and it has a certificate number. So it's because that's you enter the certificate number for it to be verified. That's all. So it doesn't matter whether you have an IELTS test from British Council or from IDP, they are all acceptable. So it depends on you which one you want to take. Okay. And no organization requires, okay, we need tests from only British Council or IDP. Okay. And now, but some universities have partnership with British Council. So when you take your test with British Council, then it gives you the opportunity to get scholarships from them. So after taking your test, automatically, if you give them the consent, British Council will send your results to them, and they can maybe review you or consider you for a scholarship. Okay. Okay. So now let's move on. OET. Hello, guys. Are you there? Can I hear your voices? Hello, are you there? Can I hear
Yes,
your
Doc.
voices?
Yeah, you hear you, Doc.
Okay. So moving on.
Yes,
So we
Doc.
are now going to look at the OET. The OET is Occupational English Test. Okay. So the OET is an international English language test that assesses the language communication skills of healthcare professionals who seek to register and practice in an English speaking environment. OET uh, is trusted by regulators, hospitals, and universities in the UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, Dubai, and Singapore as proof of ability to communicate effectively. So OET is also an English test like IELTS, but it's mostly uh, clinical. Okay, so it's either based in a hospital setting. Okay, to assess the communication skills of healthcare professionals. Okay, so here it's for we have OET medicine, OET nursing. Okay, to assess the communication skills of healthcare professionals. So this test is testing your medical language. Okay, your professional language, because we know the English you speak is not necessarily what we use in the hospital. We use certain terms, certain expressions in the hospital. So uh, that is what this test is all about. People say I've not taken the test before, but people say this test is fairly easy compared to the IELTS test. maybe probably because it is all the questions have a medical have like a base on a medical background or something. Maybe that's why. So it also has 4 domains, just like the IELTS. Then listening test consists of 2 parts. In the part one, the candidate listens to a simulated consultation. Okay, so it's a dialogue between two people, which is a doctor and a patient. Okay, between a professional and a patient, and they are required to take notes under heading. So you'll be giving some points and you're supposed to take notes. Okay, maybe what was the patient's presenting complaint? Okay, so you listen to the audio, then you give your answer, or maybe what was the patient's symptoms. So you are supposed to take notes. Then the part B, uh, candidates listen to a health professional giving a short talk on a health related topic and are required to complete a range of open-ended and fixed choice questions. So that's it. There are 2 parts in the listening. Speaking. So the speaking part is the most difficult part of the OET exams. I'm not the one saying it. People say so. People say the speaking part is the difficult part of the OET exam, and people say the writing and the reading is the difficult part of the IELTS exams. Okay, so here you the speaking is okay, but you are speaking. You have actors, or the examiners are going to simulate a scenario where maybe a patient is speaking to uh, a doctor, or a relative of a patient, or a parent of a patient, or something like that, and it's going to be a conversation, and here they want you to see your professionalism, okay, how you show compassion, uh, your management. So I don't know, maybe if after the test you can just YouTube OET speaking, and you see how it goes. So it's just like you are taking an OSCE. The speaking is like an OSCE. So if you don't know what to do, or the questions to ask and how to ask them, okay, how to show compassion, how to break bad news, you are going to do poorly on this test. Okay, so here you have to it's a role play for about 5 minutes, okay, between uh about typical interaction between patient and health professional. Okay, so the writing paper asks candidates to write a letter, usually a letter of referral. Okay, so if you're already practicing medicine, you shouldn't find the OET exams difficult at all. The only problem is it is expensive, and it is not organized frequently as the IELTS exams. Okay, it's once a month, and they have OET online, which they call OET at home. So the online test you take, they call it OET at home, and that one too. Not all organizations accept results from the online test. They prefer you go to the center and take the test. So that's the one of the main differences between the OET and the IELTS. So here you write a letter of referral, okay? Sorry. For some professions, a different type of letter is required. So a letter of transfer or discharge, a letter to advise a patient, career or group. Candidates are given cases note which must be included in their letter. Okay, so you'll be giving the points. So here they are checking your ability to paraphrase, just like in the IELTS writing, how you are able to address an issue. Uh, you are not supposed to copy dito and put in your letter of referral. You have to change the language, so they are looking at your range of vocabulary as well. The reading. The reading consists of two parts. Part A lasting 15 minutes. So here the reading, you answer the part A, you submit your answers, then you start to the part B. Okay, so it means you don't receive all the questions at once. You receive them in parts. So you finish the first part before you get the questions of the other one. Unlike the IELTS where they give all the questions to you at the start of the test. So here, it's designed to test the reader's ability to scan text within a time limit, source information from multiple texts, and synthesize information. And the second part lasted for 45 minutes. Okay. Candidates are asked to read two passages on a general healthcare topic and answer 8 to 10 multiple choice questions for each text. So you see, this is very easy for medical practitioners or nurses and doctors because you're already in the field and all the questions are on your field. Unlike IELTS, where they can ask you something random. Okay, they can ask you about economy, they can ask you about crime and employment. You just have to pray. Okay, that maybe what you get is something you can really speak about. So the time OET is available up to 12 times a year and can be taken at test venues around the world. We also have OET online, which they call OET at home, which is not accepted by all organizations. So you have to check with your organization if they accept OET at home before you book OET at home. OET costs $450. The results are published online approximately 16 business days after the test. When you take the OET at home, the results are ready in 5 days, 5 business days. Okay, scoring. So for OET, they use an A, B, C, D, E score system. Okay, A being very high level performance, E being low level of performance. Okay, so it requires considerable improvement. That brings us to the end of the OET section. Okay, so IELTS so IELTS and IELTS online coaching. So what we do, who we are, where we are, how we work. To be honest with you, oh, okay. Yes, to be honest with you, for the previous session, we had a little problem with our system, with the tutors ourselves. So it was a little bit bumpy and rough, but we endeavor to do better this time around. So we are a group of doctors who also sat the IELTS test, and we saw the need and uh, the vacuum, okay, that is there where people are struggling to pass this test. People sitting this test 4 or 5 times, okay. So after sitting this test a couple of times ourselves, we came together to help others also ace and pass this test. We have all done very well on the test, okay, and we've really studied hard to study the exam structure and everything. So we'll get more knowledge to be able to coach other people to do well on the test. So that's who we are, and what we do is we coach people on IELTS, we coach people on OET. Then we also have other services such as medical school finals. If you need help with your medical school finals, we do that. We do web designing, website designing, and app development. So if you want to take lessons in that too, we do that as well. So we use Google Classroom to organize our our lessons. Okay, so we have different groups. So like February, March group. Then the next group now the current group is April, May. Okay, and this group I'll be joining the group myself because I'm also going to resit the IELTS. My previous IELTS will be expiring this year, and I also want to improve my band so I can show it to my students and so they know that okay, I also do very well on the test. Okay, uh, so I'll be those who will be joining us. I'll also be a student with you. I'll join the reading classes with you, with the speaking class with you, listening with you. Uh, the writing class will have them together. Okay, so we are also open to we have a challenge which is uh, the timing of the class because it's very difficult having all the students on board because most of them are workers, they have different schedules. uh, we the tutors ourselves are working, we also have schedules, so but we are hoping we do very well this time around to have a fair a considerable a considerate schedule, and we'll stick to it strictly. Okay. So we also use typing.com for those who will be taking the computer delivered test to improve on their typing speed, which it is not necessary. Okay. But it will be very helpful if you do. Maybe you type out your answers faster, you type out your essay faster. Okay. So this is also linked to the classroom. So anybody who is registered to the Google Classroom has access to typing.com to do that, and we see who is typing, who is not typing, how many lessons they've typed and everything. So uh, also we are also available on WhatsApp for those who want to contact us personally. If you need personal attention, just reach out to us. Our lines are always open. uh, just feel free, send us a message and we'll respond to you. Okay, thanks for your attention. Please, any question? Any question? Okay, so this brings us to the end of our open orientation. Okay, so I'll be taking questions now. Okay, so in the absence of questions, then maybe we'll just share a word of prayer and we'll end the orientation. And we'll call one of our attendees to share a word of prayer with us. Somebody who hasn't spoken today. Okay, so let's bow down our heads and pray. Our Lord and Master Jesus, we thank you this evening for bringing us together to discuss, and Father, we pray, commit ourselves into your hands as you are living here. We are not departing from your presence. Your spirit should dwell and go with us, before us, behind us. Keep us and bring us together once again, that when we gather, we give all glory and honor to your name. In Jesus' name we pray, thanksgiving. Amen. Oh, amen.
Amen. Look.
Amen to your amen.
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 Amen. Okay.
Amen. Amen.
Okay, so I've